30 to 12 o'clock. It's like 9. You can take from 9 because processing stop and starting in that after 9 o'clock. Any food we create that will not come to report as well as tomorrow day. Because tomorrow is going to take today data. You understand? Today report is going to generate 19 report data. What is it? Which was created on they are after 9:30. Well,
They're coming. Just a second.
Same thing I got no. Someone is saying they are not accepting. They are saying I am reaching 24 into 7. I want 12 of law. That ticket, whatever they do, I have been but 12 o'clock also is then only then so then you have to generate after 12 o'clock. Couple of minutes, I think everybody. Vivek Yes, yes. Training is ready. Yes. This one is it, no? Correct, correct.
YouTube.
I'm just sharing it. I'll send it to you. Hello. I've just sent you on. Sorry. Yeah, yes. Is it fine? You're getting a voice now? I will keep. नहीं है. हाँ मेरा वॉइस आ रहा है. वो उसमें आ रहा है ना I'll just speak with.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Streaming team, can you hear me?
yeah.
Just testing out the streaming team, that's it.
Streaming is ready.
Bhavna, what is the name for the presenter? Go to Bhavna's thing and check out presenter list.
Presenter link. Presenter link.
Okay.
Thursday afternoon. Thursday, can you hear me?
YouTube link.
Thursday, can you hear me?
Can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me on the Teams? Yeah, thanks.
You start the event. Somebody start the event. Yeah. Why? No, don't anything. Somebody will start. Mohit bhai.
Can you hear me? Yes, yes. We can hear you, but we don't see you yet. My camera. Yeah, let me join again. I think something's wrong with the. Sure, sure.
I'm just sharing. YouTube.
Why did you stop?
Event has to start. Hello. I was just taking my meeting. Come on. I've just put you on. Sorry. All you know.
Is it coming? The video voice coming?
Yes, please. Let it.
Yes.
Yes,
Full
yes.
stream
We can
is
see you.
now
Yeah.
quite clear. Yeah.
I think
Hello,
it's
Mukesh.
Hi, good afternoon.
Where was it?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mukesh. How are you? All okay?
How are you, Subrata?
Good. Good to see you.
Uh,
Yeah, now you are actually very
Streaming
much
team, can you
audible
hear
and
me?
visible, quite clear.
Yeah, just testing out the streaming team. I think all are here. The streaming is just started. So, Subrata, let's start.
Okay. Well, so I think I'll wait for maybe about few more minutes and then we can start. Let few more guys are joining. I could see people started joining and few more would be on these things, but let's wait for a few more minutes, I think.
What is the name for the presenter? Go to Bhavna thing and check out presenter list.
Presenter link. Presenter link.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi, good afternoon.
Mukesh, good afternoon. Hi, Kaustav. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Avi.
Well, I see people are joining, so I think it's good to start now. Anyway, I'll take maybe a few minutes to introduce and take it forward.
Mukesh, can you hear me?
So let me start. All right, so gentlemen and ladies in the call, I could see people are still joining. So let me formally welcome you all to this quite exciting webinar. Once again, thank you all so much for joining the call on behalf of Microsoft Tech Data and iFix Tech Global. And webinar like this is of great importance today, and we are going to talk about pharma industry, R&D and manufacturing, their key challenges for growth and what role AI can play to
Mukesh,
mitigate
can you hear
some
me?
of those if possible. By the way,
Can you
this
hear me on
event
the
is
Teams?
getting live streamed on YouTube as well as in LinkedIn.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you to Microsoft for taking it forward. A bit of introduction for all of us here. So I represent iFix Tech Global. My name is Subrata. I'm one of the co-founders of iFix Tech Global, which is a generative AI-powered business automation software provider company. The product is called Gyani, and we are a Microsoft partner company as well, specialized in the field of AI-powered automation software. Today, I'm going to introduce three distinguished leaders into this
Yes,
forum,
yes.
into
We can
this
hear you, but
roundtable
we don't see
discussion
you
cum
yet.
webinar. They have excelled in their chosen field and all coming from the wide
Sure, sure.
sector of pharma industry. Let me introduce them to you all one by one.
Why did you stop?
So we have Dr. Ram Mohan. He is a seasoned pharmaceutical R&D and manufacturing leader with 25 plus years of experience across process industry, I'll say process chemistry, analytical science, and CRAMS. He currently serves as board of director at PI Pharmachem Private Limited and has held leadership roles across Origin, Advinas, Aptuit Loras, Sai Advantium, and Dr. Reddy's Lab. He holds a master's degree from IIT Roorkee and a PhD from IICT, that's Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, with postdoctoral research from University of Tokyo and University of Mississippi. Dr. Ramon, it's our pleasure to welcome you to this forum today. Then
Thank you,
let
Subrata.
me, my pleasure.
Yes, please.
Then
Yes,
let me
yes,
welcome
yeah.
Mr. Vivek Kamath. So Mr. Vivek
Hello,
is a
Vivek.
seasoned healthcare and biopharmaceutical leader
Good
with
afternoon.
30 years of
Good afternoon.
experience
Good
across
afternoon,
India,
Mukesh.
South
How are you?
Asia, and
All
Southeast
okay?
Asia.
How are
He
you,
currently
Subrata?
serves as CEO of
Good to see you.
Plasmagen
Yeah,
R&D,
now you are actually
Streaming team, can you
driving
hear me?
growth,
audible, quite clear.
operational excellence,
Yeah, just testing out the
and
streaming
global
team. The settings
expansion
all are here. The
in
streaming is
plasma-driven
just started.
therapies.
So, Smrita,
He has previously
let's start.
held senior leadership roles, including managing
Well,
director
so
at
I think
Abbott
I'll wait
India,
for maybe
Abbott
about few more
Healthcare,
minutes.
managing
Then we
director,
can
South
start. Let few
Asia
more
at
guys are joining.
MSD
I could see people
Pharmaceutical,
started joining,
leading
and few more
large-scale
would be on the
commercial
these
growth
things.
across
But
pharma,
let's
OTC,
wait
and
for a few more
diagnostics.
minutes, I think.
Mr. Kamath, thank you so much for joining us, and it's our pleasure to welcome you. And then let me introduce Mr. Mukesh Rathi. Mr. Mukesh is going to be the moderator for this discussion today. He is a digital and AI transformation leader with 25 plus years of experience driving business value at the intersection of strategy, technology, and operations. He advises CXOs on digital and AI strategy, roadmap execution, and outcome driven transformation, and has previously served as Chief Digital Officer at Hinduja Group and CIDO at Dr. Reddy's Lab. Mukesh is an industrial engineer from IIT Kharagpur and an MBA from IIM Lucknow, having deep cross-industry experience spanning FMCG, automotive, IT, and pharma. Mr. Mukesh, thank you so much joining us today. It's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you, Subrata.
Before I hand over to Mukesh, there are a few guidelines. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have this call for about 30 minutes of discussions and insights from our leaders, sharing their thought process, values, and their learnings. After that, we'll open up the forum for question and answers. So I would request everyone who are on the listening side to keep your speaker in muted conditions for the first 30 minutes. So with that, thank you once again to everyone for this webinar. It's wonderful afternoon to see you all today, and we hope we'll be having enough appetite to keep you up throughout the discussion. So with that, I hand over the session to Mr. Mukesh to take it forward.
Thank you, Subrata, and thanks for the
Pleasure.
kind introductions. Welcome, everybody. We are sort of gathered together for a very exciting conversation today. Life sciences and pharmaceutical industry in general have always been at the forefront of science. And that is what has driven growth in this industry. That is what has brought innovation in this industry. However, a lot of research reports say that when it comes to data science or application of digital and AI, somehow the pharmaceutical industry has become a laggard compared to other industries. There are also a lot of other research reports say that when you talk to the CEOs and leaderships of various pharma organizations, this is the top strategic priority. So there is vision, there is opportunity to create impact. It looks like there is slowness in adoption, and correspondingly seeing the impact. And we'll try to unravel some of that as part of our conversation today with the two, very senior dignitary speakers, which we've got on this meeting. Before we jump in, I just want to lay out a few things, right? So nowadays, AI is the buzzword, right? And everything, and we talk about sort of becomes AI. I think it's important to understand AI in probably three distinct components. Yeah. Number one, I think we've all begun with the age-old analytics, right? Given once you collect data from an organization, how do you derive insight, from that organization? Simple examples: which territory is doing lower in sales compared to other? Which brands are doing better and why, right? Or which part of my value chain I'm not performing? What are the primary reasons for delay in product development scale? These are basic analytics which your data tells you, and hence gives you the opportunity to create data-driven decisions in the organization. So that's sort of the first level of maturity. Once you sort of overcome that and you're there, then you start thinking about applying so-called machine learning, right? And again, multiple opportunities there. How can you reduce your product development cycle time by applying machine learning on experiment data? How can you improve yield in manufacturing by applying machine learning? Or how can you make your medical representatives more effective? And we'll talk about some of those use cases. And then in the last few years, we've seen the advent of Gen AI. Now, Gen AI has been a true game changer. And I actually love this quote from famous writer Yuval Noah Harari. And he says that Gen AI has hacked the operating system of human civilization because it has understood to read and write language. And language is our operating system, right? That is what we use. That is what helps us do many, many more things beyond data, right? And Gen AI has this amazing capability now to bring together objective and subjective data, bring together language and statistical data. And hence a lot more starts becoming possible, the moment we look at that. And hence it's a very, very exciting time to be, looking at how science-rich pharmaceutical and life sciences companies also become data-rich, and then apply all the way from analytics to data science to artificial intelligence in the form of Gen AI to create significant impact to the whole value chain. So with that, I will maybe now invite my speakers to share their perspective. Maybe to begin with Mr. Ram Mohan. If you could help us, talk us through on two things. Number one, I think the whole R&D and manufacturing chain in some form, the growth engine of any life sciences organization, right? With your experience, what do you think are the key challenges? What are the key points where you see delays, where you think there is opportunity? And hence, if we apply these various AI tools, we could create a significant impact for this chain. Yeah, over to you, Mr. Ram.
Also for the kind introduction, and also thanks Mukesh for the overview of what AI can help us in the life sciences division. I think certainly as we are seeing the benefits of AI in various sectors, I think it can play a significant role in the pharma sector as well. For me, coming from the pharmaceutical sciences sector from the last 25 years of my research experience, especially working in the environment of CDMO, contract development and manufacturing space, wherein we are located towards helping the innovator pharmaceutical companies in terms of helping the drug development program, especially the new chemical entities, all the way from preclinical to the clinical to commercial manufacturing. Since I come from the organic chemistry background, so my core expertise has been in the total synthesis of the products, so especially the drug substance. So what is most important is from the environment of R&D to develop a safe, robust, and scalable process. So in this connection, I think probably sometimes the innovator have a route of synthesis being developed at their end, and which they are looking at outsourcing from a reliable partner across the globe. I think with India being one among them with the prowess in science, especially in the chemistry background. So and also at the same time, sometimes customers do look at us to develop the products for them based on what we can come up with making the product which is viable eventually in the market. So I would say probably right from the designing the route of synthesis onwards, if AI can help in terms of developing a product and also helping in terms of analyzing the IP status with respect to the potential to have a novel process, or at least to have the minimum is to have the freedom to operate so that we are not infringing on anybody's claims. And eventually also to have a commercial source of these raw materials, which are another important element in terms of the route what we have chosen. Eventually it has to go for upscaling for large volume supplies. So these are certain basic elements if AI can help in terms of right from the stage onwards of designing the route of synthesis to IP evaluation, commercial sourcing of the raw materials, etc., will be of great help to shorten the cycle time, which takes away enormous amount of time at the beginning of the product development. At the same time, what is most important is the safety. Ultimately, whatever the product's routes of synthesis, what we choose to begin with, you may be handling at a very small scale in the laboratory, gram scale, etc., but eventually it has to go for upscaling to supply large volume products. Since now I'm working after 22 years of experience in the pharma, now I moved to the agrochemical sector where the product volume will run into multi-metric ton. So eventually safety becomes of paramount importance, and hence the choice of reagents, what you have chosen, the route of synthesis, what you have chosen will play a significant role. So to me, I think a safety prediction early on while designing the route of synthesis is most important so that we don't run into any problem eventually when you go for upscaling, so that we can prevent the thermal hazards associated with the upscaling the process, so that you don't have any runaway reactions, etc. Another important element where AI can play a role, in my opinion, is the identification of the critical process parameters. So where we typically call it as CPP. So wherein you can have the proper design space in terms of the operating process parameters with respect to the ratio of the reagents, molar ratio of the reagents being chosen, solvent of choice, the temperature and other conditions will play a role, I would say. All these things will be of great relevance if AI can help in terms of arriving at a proper route, design space to operate, so that the typical challenges that we come across will be the non-linear heat and mass transfer when you go for upscaling that can be addressed effectively, in my opinion. And also whatever the hotspots that likely to get generated if you have not thoroughly understood the process of the lab will also get addressed. And also the operator dependent decision making can be ruled out so that we have precisely a process which can be operated at different scales so that we can generate the product for the customer. So ultimately in the space of CDMO or CMO, so what is most important is the first time right. So where we are supporting the customers in terms of their meeting their timelines, we typically call it as QOT, that is the quality, on time and in full. So if you are able to meet that kind of an approach to the customer, I think probably we'll have an opportunity to continuously serve the customer one project after the other, so that we are able to extend our business volume as well. Broadly, I would say if AI can help in all these elements, right from the design phase to development phase to the commercial manufacturing, that can cut down the cycle time for the development to manufacturing and also ensure the accuracy in terms of getting the right product at the first time, will have a significant impact in terms of the benefits that what we can gain, at the same time what we can pass it on to our customers also. This will be my view around that.
Thank you, Mr. Ram. This is very, very insightful. I think just to add sort of a couple of things. The root of synthesis, I think, is a very, very important topic as you sort of begin the development cycle. And for the audience nowadays, there are both options. You can build versus buy. There are products like Cynthia, which are made by some of the big pharma, which you can give you a head start from day one. And now with algorithms so mature, it is also possible, to build something you want to do. I think one very important aspect you brought in, Mr. Ram, as one thinks about these science-based decisions, they are very multifaceted. Safety, regulatory, IP, process scale-up. One is to solve multiple problems simultaneously and not just the root. And nowadays we also talk about green chemistry, right? And this is the power Gen AI brings. Gen AI has this ability to do scenario-based simulations, create multiple scenarios depending on what you're looking at, and then bring them all together for the best optimum solution, which many a times, while human brains are very capable and scientists tend to sort of think all of them together, the ball keeps passing between various stakeholders. Sometimes regulatory will give a view after 1 week after you give them the data. IP might come back after 10 days. And many a times there's significant delay in the development cycle, which I think if you build the right agents, in a development cycle, could help also shorten this cycle time quite a bit. Do you want to sort of comment anything else, Mr. Rammohan, on this before I go to the next one?
I picked up the topic about the waste, so one of the key elements, what we are, especially at the company where I'm currently representing the PI, our vision of the company is reimagining a healthier planet. So what does that mean is whatever the product, what we are making, the waste that gets generated, we wanted to reduce right from the development of a product and eventually when you make the product at large volume. So in that connection, I think probably we are efforts in having a green process, as you also touched upon, wherein biotechnology can play a role in that space, and also continuous flow from conventional batch manufacturing to continuous flow can play a major role in that space, so that we are able to make the product in a shorter run time, better efficiency, and also enhancing the product yield and reducing the waste, etc. I think probably in AI, if that can help in terms of fewer number of steps, fewer number of isolations, that can eventually have a positive impact on the waste that gets generated for product of interest. I will have a major part for the benefit of the environment, I would say. Yeah, thank you.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. Let me move on to the next speaker, Mr. Vivek. I will probably, change the topic a little bit, and let's talk sort of a little bit on the commercial side of the life sciences value chain. Now, typically the commercial side of life sciences value chain, I see two aspects, and you feel free to comment on both or one of them as you like. One is this whole cycle of what they call as indirect influence of sale, wherein the medical representatives go and meet doctors and detail products, right? And as we know, typically a medical representative gets 1 max 2 minutes with a doctor where they try to detail a number of brands, with the hope that it remains in the recall value of the healthcare professional and he's eventually prescribing those medicines. The other side of the chain is the B2B chain, wherein one is going out and reaching out to various institutions for the purpose of, again, making your product visible, being able to showcase its capabilities and eventually build those relationships from a B2B perspective for a longer term commercial impact, right? I would like to hear your perspective, Mr. Vivek, around how do you think data analytics AI could help in these commercial processes?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mukesh. Wish you all a very good afternoon. This combination of AI or artificial intelligence, as we call it, and pharma is a very unique combination discussion. AI is seemingly the most exciting thing that everybody, whether they know or not, want to talk about it. Pharma for a long period of time has not been one of the exciting industries, and is not very often talked about unless the script price rises, which currently is. I'll take a step back and talk about maybe this concept of artificial intelligence. The beauty is, while we call it artificial intelligence, it is neither artificial nor intelligence. I'd like to see AI in a slightly different definition. For me, it is aggregating or accumulating information, assimilating or analyzing information, and then actioning information. I think the beauty of AI lies in understanding the power that AI brings to the table. Information itself, over the decades, and I've been fortunate to work over 3.5 decades, has significantly transformed. I remember as a student and an early professional, our sources of information was Competition Success Review and Malayalam Manorama. At best, we had the Center of Monitoring Indian Economy, CMI at Worli, where newspaper cuttings were stuck on big black boards, and that was our source of information. There were lesser sources, even for general news. We had Illustrated Weekly, which was a fortnightly magazine. So you got news once in a fortnight. Newspapers, 24 hours. Compared to that today, the sources of information are more. There is an information overload. You take television, you take press, you take digital, you take access to information. We didn't have internet when we started our careers. Today, internet is on people's hands. Okay. And I think AI, therefore, is not just about access to information. That's phrase. About how we aggregate, accumulate, and action information. Therefore, that is the beauty of artificial intelligence. Now, so much so for AI. And over the 3.5 decades, I have seen a huge change in the way access to information and assimilating information existed. Coming to pharma, I think pharma, as Mr. Rammohan Rao has very nicely elucidated, is fundamentally a raw material, packaging material, manufacturing, taking those products to the patient. And maybe I will restrict myself to the product to patient bit. In fact, my team and my CEO, Setu Madhavan, always tells me that we as a company at Plasmagen are a plasma to patient. About the product to patient. Pharma is unique because it is seemingly more regulated, larger lead times for turnaround, larger product cycles, significantly regulated, and seen as a slightly slower paced industry, not very agile. The second bit about pharma is, if I take India or overseas, the sheer number of customers make it very difficult or almost impossible for an organization to access all of them and to be there at all the places. Whether it is creating access of products to patients or creating access of the field force to the customers, selective strategic decision making is extremely important. And therefore, when converting data to information, information to decision, and decision to action, artificial intelligence plays an extremely important role. Mukesh, you asked a very simple question about how can a medical representative, promote their products. The basic fundamentals of promoting pharma products hasn't changed, other than maybe the digital influence that came during COVID times and is still continuing. I mean, today we are all digitally connected rather than face to face. I think that's I think what are the principles about? You have a universe of customer but who is the right customer? And how do we define right? Information accumulation, analysis, and decision making defines the right customer. Are we meeting the customer at the right frequency? Are we reaching at the right frequency? Again, extremely important. Do we understand customer behavior and customer personality types? Every therapy area, when we say pharma is not a homogeneous industry. There are multiple therapy types. There are multiple customer types, whether it is B2B, B2C. There are multiple product types, oral injectables, the way the products are delivered. Therefore, how do we understand the customer types? And how do we then take our product offering and engage in our communication and the doctor engagement to ensure that the doctor is convinced about the science that we are talking about, and has our products top of the market. Again, when you say pharma, there are proprietary patented products, which is a molecule communication where access to science is important. And then there are branded generics, where it is the top of mind awareness along with the conviction of the organization, the science, the product that is important. Somewhere there is an underlying point which I'll not speak because Mr. Raman spoke about it, is quality. In healthcare, quality is extremely important. And that is a subject by itself, how we can get the whole artificial intelligence platform into ensuring quality is maintained. One last thing is about access. It's not enough just to meet our customers and convince them about our products. Ensuring our products are available at the lowest cost possible, at the right conditions of logistics, and prevent a commercial adverse loss in terms of breakage, in terms of returns, in terms of expiries, etc. So your entire demand forecasting to manufacturing to your selling is also a data-driven process. Now, when you talk of an organization, and more so in healthcare, you sometimes see silos. There are multiple functions which need not seamlessly speak with each other or coordinate with each other. All these lead to 2 or 3 fundamental drawbacks for an organization. One is speed to opportunity. Second, access to both customers and the products to patients. Again, giving a gap in the opportunity. Third is the cost element, because we are all trying at some point of time to drive a leverage P&L. How we are able to data or artificial so that decisions are taken which help us drive a leverage P&L from our gross to net, from our gross margin, from our marketing and sales teams. Are we right deployed? In a nutshell, if I have to talk about pharma, it's all about the right geography, the right doctor selection or the institution selection, the right frequency of communication, and the right engagement again and again and again. The only thing is right is an English word, and as we all know, it doesn't mean anything when it comes to action, where data comes in. So all this right is qualified by data, and that data helps us streamline and make more effective and more efficient this entire waterfall of how we do the commercial business and take the product to the customers and the patients. And that is where at multiple levels, artificial intelligence, as we call it, or aggregating, assimilating, actioning the right information is what definitely would help. Maybe 30 seconds more. Today, for many of us, the entire concept of artificial intelligence is using Copilot or Cursive or whatever, and quickly gathering so that we don't have to put the necessary effort of gathering information. I think that's a great thing, nothing wrong. I remember in school, we used something called logbook. We were not allowed calculators. Then came the generation of calculators. Now I don't see people using calculators because a phone or a laptop can be used for even the most complex Excel calculations or formulas. So things are evolving, and humans and professionals need to evolve as well. But I think the key is not to get stuck only on the co-pilots and the whatever other modes. I think the application of the mind and strategic choices of what to do and what not to do still are relevant. Natural intelligence and decision making, courage of decision making, speed of decision making, all is relevant. I think the only way how we access the overload of information in a very sharp, concise, and precise manner is what is evolving. I'll stop here, Mukesh.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek, and also taking us down the memory lane of Malayalam Manorama and Logbook, and how the world has evolved from there to today. I think there are 2-3 things which you brought out, which sort of stand out for me. Number one, information once you sort of decide to collect, there's a lot to do, but how do we genuinely solve the problem of choosing it right? And you spoke about right customer, right product, right channel, right choices. Actually, that reminds me, one of the themes which I built in one of my previous organizations when we were launching the whole analytics program is we said 2 C's and 2 A's: collect, connect, analyze, and act. So you collect data. First of all, you need to digitize processes. That is when you start collecting data. Lot of great insights and magic happens when you connect 2 different types of data together, right? So when you connect secondary sales from the market with prescription data, then magic happens. When you connect manufacturing process related issues with what I did during the R&D cycle, then you start seeing magic. So a lot of magic happens when you connect, and hence connecting of various data points is very important. Of course, in analytics, create insights, and as you rightly said, convert that eventually into an action loop, because that is where you will eventually see the outcome. I think another very, very important point you brought up was around large organizations, a lot of energy, and Mr. Ramon brought up as well, that many times delays, energy waste happens in coordination. Many departments, many functions, many roles, and information flows between them. One very, very important theme which is evolving as part of Gen AI is what they call as coordination without consensus. Most of the time in the human world, consensus is always about bringing people together and agreeing, and that is when coordination happens between these various parties. However, if agents were to talk to each other, right, and draw this coordination and only bring out the most relevant and high impact, corner cases to human beings, a lot of coordination work could happen without consensus, and that's another sort of theme which is emerging in the agentic AI world and something for us to think of. I think that takes me to the second topic of discussion today, right? So while AI is wonderful, a lot is happening, end of the day, same human beings need to use it, right? The organization is the same, the people is the same, and they need to sort of use it and bring it to life. My question here is, how do we drive this change? How do we help the organization to be ready for this change? How do we create acceptability for this change? All of a sudden, roles are moving from doing something to designing algorithm which will do something, right? You, in a way, are taking a step back. You are the designer rather than the doer, right? And many such shifts, we are seeing. So maybe to begin with, Mr. Ramon, what would be your thought? How do we take the organization through this change journey?
Yeah, I think, Mukesh, definitely, since we are seeing the benefits, again, the times that what we have gone through during our early stage of education, especially during my PhD time. So we didn't have the access to the SciFinder, etc. Probably it was not there in late 80s, 90s. So we had to go to the library to search for the chemical abstract service registry index volumes, huge volumes we used to get. From that stage onwards to having access to the internet and then the SciFinder, etc., where we are able to, on a click of a button, we are able to come out with the root of essays, access to the literature which is published all over the world, etc. So I think probably once we see the benefits out of this AI supported decision-making process at any point in time, I'm sure industry will be more than happy to adopt it. But also, as we are seeing the evolution of the discovery of new chemical entities through the molecular modeling design, where we are able to do the docking of the products with the protein, so that we are able to come out with a more precisely designed product, which is having probably better efficacy than what we are looking at through the high throughput screening, which was done early days time. So definitely, I think these things will have a better acceptance, I would say, and the industry will be more than happy to take it up, in my opinion. So once we see the benefits out of these changes happening, I'm sure with the regulations also, I don't see a problem in terms of getting through. Once we're able to demonstrate that probably these are the ways that which can help in terms of cutting down the cycle time, then moving forward with a more precision, I would say, the precision what we are looking at in terms of arriving at what we are looking at, making the product of interest. So I'm sure the industry will be more than happy to take it, adapt it, and then move forward.
No, wonderful. What I hear from you is, as far as we are able to produce predictable outcomes, which show impact, adoption for sure would happen. And as you rightly said, I think we are also seeing a lot of openness from regulators, to look at these differently and take it into their stride as well to help us move forward on the journey. Great, Mr. Vivek, your point of view.
Sure. So, information has evolved from minimal information, lack of access to information, multiple sources of information, and somewhere the credibility and the veracity of that information being questionable. Therefore, I think artificial intelligence help us. Artificial intelligence for me is a sharpener, is a multiplier. Is, if ever there is an English word, a focuser. Something that helps us screen, evaluate, and somebody the other day said AI is like, you can't swallow an entire pineapple, how much so you love it. You'll have to skin the pineapple, chop the pineapple, juice it, and drink it in a glass. That is AI for you. I don't know if that's a right example forum, but therefore AI is coming to adoption. AI is not plug and play. AI is not an option. It is here to stay. The early adopters will gain early. The better adopters will gain better. It's not something that you rush into. I was discussing with the team while preparing, and these are won't be the most experimental. Winners won't be the laggards. The winners will be, focus is using AI, because AI multiplies good science, good governance, and good decision making, and punishes the absence of all the three. I said those. I thought they are very profound, statements. Somebody was asking the other day, will AI replace clinical trial? When you register a dossier for a drug, of course not. You still need a clinical trial, but I think it will definitely speed up the clinical trial, and in a pre and a post clinical trial, assimilate significantly more information. AI also helps you learn not only for your own mistakes and successes, but from the world over, everybody's mistakes and successes. Therefore, I think the speed and a disciplined approach to information is what AI will deliver. It is like any other change management. I remember when first email came, at one point of time, we used to send our global strategic plans by courier. They had to be couriered, I think, a week in advance, three printed bound. Today, at the last minute for a 5 o'clock deadline at 4:58, you can email it. So, but has the strategic plan changed? No, the strat plan we do things has changed. I think AI will ensure that we get more disciplined. We are moved from data to access data. Therefore, it's very, very essential to do this change management, not by force, not by excitement, not by euphoria, but like any other business discipline. I remember when the computers came, there was a huge hue and cry that people would, lose jobs. Maybe some industries shut down. There were cameras at some point of time. You don't see cameras other than high end. So of course, any evolution in science, information, tech, or human application will have some redundancies, will have some. But I think this is a platform. This is a tool, a disciplined approach. The fundamentals of the is not likely to change. Same. How do we use those fundamentals? Whether it is an end-to-end supply chain, end-to-end production planning, inventory control, demand. Even using demographics to understand demand planning. I'll give you a classical example. We procure plasma from blood banks. India has more than 4,000 blood banks. Now, if I genuinely need to have a team to source plasma from 4,000 blood banks, is humongously impossible and very cost intensive. We are deploying artificial intelligence to ensure we are able to access and obtain plasma from what we believe are an appropriate set of criteria for targeting blood banks. Same thing with global. Now, if tomorrow I want to set up an exports business, there are over 200 countries that I might want to export to, but artificial intelligence helps me build up a robust strategy is my resource allocation. Therefore, I think artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's an effectiveness, efficiency, process improving tool, and is only to make business better. As long as we understand this and not take adoption of artificial intelligence, but the means to achieving business objectives better, I think everybody will be at peace and adopt that in the right frame of mind.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Vivek. I think a couple of things which stood out for me. Number one, I think hit it hard with the right level of maturity in some form, right? Don't go too much at the height. Be ready as an organization. Pick up the right tools and use it for the right business cases. Adoption is bound to happen. I think the second and equally important thing, I think you brought up a couple of very nice examples of where you're able to use it effectively. And it does not matter whether it is plain analytics or Gen AI, as far as it is able to solve a business problem, and help the needle move forward. And I think that is what this journey is all about. Great. I think we had a sort of great conversation, both covering the entire value chain all the way from R&D, manufacturing to commercial. We also covered a little bit of human history, all the way from Malayalam Manorama to Gen AI today. I think with that interesting conversation, I think we should now open it up for questions, if there are any from the audience.
Sure, absolutely. So wonderful discussion, absolutely fantastic and very engaging. In fact, some of the examples that you all have said is absolutely to the point. There are a few questions which came in. It's coming in as a summary to us, but I would just give some priority.
There is a question from the audience, I think.
Yes. I'll take those up one by one. So there is a gentleman. Okay. Someone has raised their hands. Maybe you can speak out and just talk about your questions. I have got one or two questions which is come as a summary, so which I'll pass on. So over to you, gentlemen.
Certainly. This is Kaustav Chakravarti from Calcutta. I look after the business development part on behalf of IPEX in the northern and eastern side of India. My question is directed to Professor Ram Mohan. Sir, you have been speaking about researches. Now, what exactly? So we all understand that in AI training model, so it's basically garbage in gives us a garbage out. So until unless the data credential is very foolproof and it's very credible, we will never get a proper outcome from that. But having said that, how the industry, particularly the pharmaceutical industry, is incentivizing negative experimental data, because negative experimental data essentially gives you a very strong support system for training a model to make sure that the outcome is right. How the pharmaceutical industry is basically, pioneering in that particular area. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think your question itself will answer that one. So the kind of when you are arriving at the R&D space, when we are arriving at the robust process, we do carry out a kind of a studies called native experimentation. So in order to arrive at the correct space. There's a design space which we call it as, in terms of operating at the designed molar ratio of the reagents, or the temperature, or the solvent dilution, or the RPM, that is which we are going to use as an agitator for mixing of the reagents, etc. We do call it as to carry out those negative experimentation. On the other term, we call it as a what if experiments. So what if something goes wrong under the parameters which you are operating a process, which you are intended to scale it up so that you are getting the right quality of the product. So that means you are developing a robust process based on not only on the success factors, based on the window in which you are going to operate. Exactly as you rightly mentioned, the negative experimentation data is equally important before we actually arrive at the designed process which you wanted to operate. This will be very essential. If AI can predict the exact space which you are looking at it, and also what can go wrong on the either side of the window of the operating parameters, that will be of great help to us, because that will prevent any untoward incidents when you are upscaling the process at a large volume. That's what which I was talking about, the thermal hazards, which could lead to the runaway reactions, or it could lead to the kind of we call it as hotspots if the thermal studies have not been properly evaluated in the lab studies. So which could lead to the generation of the impurities or the byproducts, which we call it as, that could result in the lower product conversion or the lower yields of the product what you're looking at, etc. All these things can be effectively negated if you are able to arrive at the design space, which is encompassed with the negative experiments, I would say. Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Yeah, there is some interesting question came in. I'll just share that. Maybe it's kind of a question is like, wish AI had been there. So the context that was told to me is something like, you all have gone through a decades of experience. Maybe you have seen the evolution, as Vivek was talking about, from nothing to computerization, to manual to computerized ways of working, to post office to email, to isolated work to ERP, and so on and so forth, right? Is there any specific incidents in your experience? Of course, if it is shareable, then you can talk about it, where you feel now that you understand there is something called AI, and whichever way we know AI can do you feel any of your past experience which could have been solved in a better way by AI? The question is, wish AI been there in that particular context? So just looking down memory lane, and you feel if AI could be able to help there, it could have been solved faster. So maybe Mr. Ramon, you can start, or Mr. Vivek or Mukesh, anyone would like to start. It's a question to all of you. I think the audience want to know from your experience if there is any occasion where you felt, wish AI been there.
Yeah, maybe I can get started here. Actually, many, and I think after Gen AI, I feel many. I mean, I'll just take a very. We were working on, product development life cycle, sort of sticking to pharma examples. You spend almost first 2 to 3 months once you identify a molecule, right, to create something called a design strategy note, right, as to what is the direction in which you want to go to. Now, this 2-3 months, as Mr. Raman was also saying, goes in a lot of literature research, figuring out what innovator has been doing, what the chemical entities, how they react, what are the possibilities, look at various parameters, safety, regulatory, IP, all of that. And it took us, I think with Gen AI now today, it almost looks like, you can bring these various data points together, ask it to summarize, give you a starting point, probably a, solution you could create in a month. When we first solved it, we achieved the solution we wanted to. We wanted to reduce this cycle time from 2 months to 2 days. But it was a 1-year project, because we were writing algorithm for everything, all the way from, reading text to summarizing text, to bringing it together, converting text into vectors, eventually, writing algorithms to, also combine molecular data with what is available in the form of these various other parameters. So it was almost like a 1-year project. I'm sure if somebody decides to solve it today, it's probably less than a month project. So there are many such examples, many such examples.
Wonderful. That's really great. Super. At least we could see that yes, there are possibilities which we would have aspired for. So maybe Mr. Vivek, would you like to take a call? I mean, you
Yes,
all are
Amrita.
coming with thoughts of
So yeah,
experiences.
on a humorous, no, on a humorous note, when I told my team that I'm going to participate in a panel discussion and can you help me, one young kid said, what's the big thing? Go use AI and download a deck for you. I said, oh God. Okay, so so I said, hey, listen, I'm not going to use AI to talk to others on what to do with AI. I mean, that's the silliest thing that I heard, but that's the mindset. So what can change? So then I had to speak to people with hardcore problem solution experience to be able to build the kind of discussion. Otherwise, trust me, somebody could have just used AI to create a brilliant deck, and maybe that could have been a better contribution than I can ever speak. But that's how things are changing. So, but to your point about what's changing and which AI was there. But I'll take another humorous example. David Ogilvy in advertising years back said 50% of advertising is waste. I don't know which, it's a famous statement by David Ogilvy. I'm sure in the presence of AI and with the right adoption of AI, David Ogilvy and many of us in both the FMCG as well as the pharma industry will be able to identify and prevent that 50%, at least to 50% of 50%. I think that is going to change, without getting into specific examples. Yeah, Ram Mohan.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Really,
Yeah,
it's a
I
great
think
experience.
I echo what you said, Vivek and Mukesh. Definitely, I think AI has a role to play. AI will have a serious impact in our day-to-day life and in various sectors. That no doubt, in whichever the function we are representing at this point in time. So definitely, we see a benefit, and that's all I can say. Definitely, I'm looking forward to have the more and more the implementation. So how the moment we are able to experience ultimately it's all about the humans always want to see the benefits out of that. If we are able to experience the benefits out of it, I'm sure it will have more adaptability sooner than later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the update. There is one more question came in from S. Dasgupta. So possibly if you want to raise it out directly.
So basically, it is less a question, but an example of a similar thing which I can recall from my days, like student days, I would say. So I used to do a bank reconciliation statement for a broker firm. And at that time, there was no ERP also. So we used to do the bank statement like it used to be a huge bunch of printouts. And we used to spend, like three of us spent around a month every month to do a BRS for the previous month. So now what has happened is with ERP, we have got that entire bank statement online. And then AI now does the same bank reconciliation. Still, you had to do the bank reconciliation when there was ERP, but now AI, or in fact, I would actually go further. Gyani, we have a product which we do the bank reconciliation in a day's time. What used to take for three people to do 1 month's time. So this is the difference. So I wish that was there at that point of time. So that's again a humorous take on what was and what is now.
Well, I think that's also a very relevant example, I'll say. And so possibly that is one of the takeaways for our participants today that yes, we all feel that we see I been there at that point of time. So we are going through a phase or transformation in our journey, in our business life rather, that we feel that perhaps AI can do something. What it can do and how much it can do is actually depends on the journey we want AI to take in a calculated way, in a way how much of data we want to expose and what way we can control the atmosphere or regulate the scenario, make the AI more responsible rather than arbitrary way of providing certain decisions. I think that's one of the big takeaway. So with that, I will say I don't see. Okay, there is one more question. Okay, thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Hello, this is Rishika Dave and Business Development for West Region for IFIX. First of all, thank you everyone here present. This was a very insightful webinar for me because I got insights on how things have changed from previous generation to current one, which I belong to. Coming to the questions, I had this very specific question. As AI has been, widely incorporated and adopted by various industries, pharma is one of them where the end user is always humans. So, how do pharmaceutical companies adopting AI will make sure that the end consumers for their whole chain are feeling safe with it? Whether it's for R&D or manufacturing, how would you make sure the value is being adopted by the end users in a safe manner?
Yeah, I think anyone would like to take that
Okay.
up. Yeah.
I take it now. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, thanks for the question. So see, ultimately, what we are looking at from the AI standpoint is a product which has a shorter runtime during the development. Okay, so especially if I have to talk about the R&D to leading to the manufacturing, right? If I am having a predictive tool in terms of developing a product, ultimately I'm not going to change the quality attributes what I'm looking at. That's not my my motive or the intent. Ultimately, whatever the quality I need to make for the human consumption, initially for the clinical trials and eventually to the patients. Initially for the volunteers, patients at the phase 1, phase 2 program, and eventually or the phase 3 for the large volume patients as well as volunteers as well as the patients. The quality, whatever has been designed and approved by the regulatory bodies, either FDA or MHRA or TGA, etc., we are going to stick to those quality attributes. What I'm looking at it, the process in which I'm able to make the product of quality using my AI tools, if I'm able to come out with a process which is quicker and safer. It's safer in the sense here I'm talking about not from the quality of the product, is it from the scalability of the product, what I mentioned, as I mentioned to you in the beginning of my discussion, typically we operate in R&D a small scale at a few grams of product in terms of making it. But eventually, if you have to make the product of interest, eventually that gets launched into the market. For example, pain management, etc. The volume of the product what we need to make will be run into multi-metric tons. The process in which you are going to operate at the unit operations involved in making the product of that volume will be very different than what you have experienced in the lab. So what I want to say is, ultimately, the process what we are going to make has to be robust in term and also scalable, and the quality attributes will not change what we have designed. So eventually, there is a principle called quality by design. That's what QBD, where we have to adopt those principles so that we are consistently and constantly we are getting the right quality of the product. So what I meant to say is quality should be built in. That is the expectation. Quality should not be tested overall. So these predictive tools can help us in terms of arriving at a right process right from the beginning. We are able to get the right quality of the product also at the end, probably in a quicker and more precisely, I would say, which is not dependent much on the operator when they are operating at the large scale, I would say. I hope this helps in understanding your question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I do echo, and yeah, obviously we are looking for, as the budget announced, like something like a high-speed rail, means we are all looking for more faster turnaround time without compromising quality and responsibility and predictability of our outcomes. I think that's the need of the hours. So with that, I think we are coming to the end and we are at 4 p.m. So thanking you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the call and actively listening to the conversation. This is also getting live streamed and would be available in the channel, in the YouTube channel of Microsoft as well as ours. So if anybody wants to refer to it, please feel free to do so. And I take this opportunity once again to thank you all, gentlemen, Mr. Ram Mohan, Mr. Vivek, and Mr. Mukesh, on behalf of Microsoft, Tech Data, and iFix Tech Global. It was our honor to have you here and look forward to see you again and again in the future. Thank you so much. Let's conclude on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. I want to thank the marketing and
Bye-bye.
sales team for
Thanks everyone.
helping to
Thank you.
set up this webinar. Thank you to Rishika and Kaustuv for participating. So thank you once again to Dr. Rammohan, Vivek and Mukesh. Good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks.